The Digital Production Buzz is brought to you by Shutterstock.com, a global marketplace for royalty-free images and videos. With over 2 million royalty-free HD and 4K video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. And by Otherworld Computing, providing quality hardware solutions and extensive technical support to the worldwide computer industry since 1988.
Rolling! Action!
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
one show serves a worldwide network of media professionals,
Current.
uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
And welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for creative content producers covering media production, post-production, marketing, and distribution around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan, and joining us is our co-host, the ebullient, ever-affable, and handsome Mr. Mike Horton.
The ebullient?
Ebullient.
Ebullient?
I had to look the word up, but
Wait
it
a minute.
applied
Let
to you.
me look the word up. What does that mean? Holy cow, it means that?
It means cheerful
Well,
and
thank you.
energetic and bubbling over with
You
enthusiasm.
say you can never make me smile? I'm smiling, Larry. I'm ebullient.
Yes, you are
It
amazing.
is Ebullient Thursday.
And nobody does ebulliency better than you do.
Thank
you. We have an acting theme, watching Mike smile, for this evening. We start our program tonight with Justin Thomson. He's an actor, a filmmaker, and founder of Ashridge Films with more than 20 years of acting experience, especially in improv. Recently, Justin moved from London to LA, and tonight we want to talk with him about acting and the business of acting. Then Ned Soltz joins us with his thoughts on two new cameras, one from Sony and the new Scion from AJA. Ned is the contributing editor for Digital Video Magazine, a moderator on 2Pop and Creative Cow forums, and a consultant on all things related to digital video.
And a good friend of mine.
And a good friend of mine.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Better friend of mine. We talk daily. Right, Ned?
Finally, if you've seen Bud Light's I Love You Man commercials, you've seen the work of Jeff Gerard, the owner of Jeff Gerard Casting. Jeff and his team have found just the right actors for feature films and over 3,500 television commercials, of which over 1,000 featured Mike himself.
I wonder if Jeff remembers me.
We will find out.
Because I probably did 1,000 commercials for Jeff. Jeff, do you remember me? Well, we'll find out.
Tonight, Jeff shares his thoughts on what it takes for successful casting sessions. And the Buzz, by the way, is going to NAB for our 7th year of coverage of our industry's biggest event. More than 10...
Are you going to interview me, by the way?
We
at
are
NAB?
not interviewing you.
You didn't interview me last year.
No, we're interviewing industry leaders.
Oh, that's sorry.
We're
I
going
can
to
update my resume.
We're going to have more than 10 hours of programming over 4 days. So, Mike, are you going to NAB?
I am going to NAB.
What are you going to be doing?
I'll be doing the Super Meet,
Oh,
which
at
makes me
NAB?
an industry leader,
Yes, it
which you
does.
should interview.
I should interview you.
You should interview me. You should interview me Monday morning so we can get it out right there and get a lot of people to the Super Meet on Tuesday night.
Be careful what you ask for, because we have an opening on our very first show Monday morning. We
Really?
may book you for it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then do me.
All right,
Although,
we'll do
no,
you.
wait a minute. I'm at the Black Magic Design press conference, which you should be at, too.
I will be. Except
Well, then
I
you can
can't
do
be.
it after that.
What's the Super Meet
Let's
going to be?
call
Have you
Debbie
published the
Price
agenda
right
yet?
now and book me.
Have you published the agenda for Super Meet yet?
Not yet. No, we know who's going to be on it. We don't know what they're doing. They won't tell us.
Have you found a location?
Yes.
Okay,
Riviera
well, that's-
Hotel, which will be imploded in August of 2015.
And just after you leave it, actually.
Right after, they're closing the doors 2 weeks after we leave.
Remember to check out our show transcripts located on each show page, courtesy of Take One Transcription. You can learn more at Take One TV. Visit with us on Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com and on Twitter at DPBuzz, and subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Mike and I will be back with Justin Thomson right after this. Finding the perfect royalty-free image or video for your creative project can be a crucial step in the filmmaking process. And whether it's for your website, publication, or video segment, the experts at Shutterstock.com can help you choose from over 2 million royalty-free HD and 4K stock video clips, including time-lapses, aerials, green screens, and model-released clips. Sourcing over 12,000 brand new video clips each week, Shutterstock consistently offers the highest quality stills and video clips from professional filmmakers. Plus, Shutterstock provides sophisticated search engine tools so you can search and drill down by category, clip resolution, contributor name, and more. Also, use their great no-risk try-before-you-buy options so you can see how their clips will look in your project before making a single purchase. Try Shutterstock today. Sign up for a free account. No credit card is needed. And as an added bonus to you, enter promo code BUZZ2014 before December 31st to receive 25% off any footage package. Discover Shutterstock.com. That's Shutterstock.com. Justin Thomson is an actor, a filmmaker, and a founder of Ashridge Films with over 20 years of acting experience. Recently, he moved from London to LA, and tonight we want to talk with him about the craft and business of acting. Welcome, Justin. Good to have you with us.
It's excellent to be here. Thank you.
Welcome. 20 years. Wait a minute. 20 years, that makes you what? You started when you were 2?
I started when I was 9.
Ah.
Yes.
So what got you started in acting?
2 things. Mainly, I found out that I got to kiss girls.
Yep.
And so I was told I was going to be all over that.
As a 9-year-old, I find that very hard to believe.
Well, he
I
was in London.
early, German, we develop early. Yeah.
So what are some of the projects you've worked on?
I did a lot of voiceover when I was a kid. Dubbing films, I did Independence Day, Stargate, tons of stuff like that.
Wow.
Then I did a few guest appearances on TV series. I even played Donald Trump on Quantum Leap. That was probably one
You
of my
played
greatest.
Donald Trump?
I played a young
Donald
yes,
Trump?
Yes, that
With
was
really bad hair, because your hair is actually pretty good.
Well, what they did is they just cut it from here and then they implanted it in my ears. And I'm really sorry if he's watching this.
He's not.
That's more details than I really want to know.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, that was good. And but it was funny as a child actor, I loved being on set, and that was one of the things that inspired me to actually continue in it. Was because I realized that when you make a film, it's kind of like a giant canvas with hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, all adding their brushstroke to the painting.
And everyone's supposedly collaborating.
Supposedly.
Yes.
And so, I started working basically every single job that I possibly could, once I was old enough. And I've been a PA, I worked as a grip, a gaffer, sound. I was a cameraman for 2 years. I traveled around the world. I actually worked with Jeff, who's going to be on the show. That was one of the things that I learned the most. As an actor, by far, was working with Jeff. I was his assistant. And it was...
Were you able to, because we're talking about the Jeff being a casting director, were you able to be in the audition process and watch other actors? Because you can learn so much from that.
I was very, very fortunate. So there was a really amazing filmmaker, a producer, John Brister, and he was working on a film, and he's always been my mentor. And he said, Justin, as an actor, there's one thing I want you to do. I think work in casting and understand it, because for actors it's this big mystery, like a black box. You go into the audition, you come out, and then you're totally nervous and you're like, why didn't I get the job?
Right.
So as an actor, what did you learn from that? What piece of advice can you share with other actors?
So the biggest thing that I can share is realizing that it's all about persistence. If you love what you do, you need to love acting in order to do it. That's why whenever anybody asks me what I do, I just tell them I'm a waiter in denial. It's so true.
I like that. It's a good line.
Yeah. But it's very important to understand that there's a shape that each director and each producer is looking for. And usually the best actor doesn't actually get the job. It's whoever matches the shape the most. And eventually, if you're persistent and you're good, reasonably good enough at your craft, then your shape will come along. And then
now, what do you mean by shape? It's more than just look, isn't it?
No, it's look, it's attitude, it's whatever it is, charisma. But unfortunately, a lot of it is kind of based on look, because they have a they have something in their mind that they're picturing. So it was huge.
A lot of it never has to do with you or your performance, which could have been brilliant and more brilliant than the other people. But if you're not right for the part, you're not going to get it.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
So don't take it personal.
100%.
So what got you interested in improv? Because you've been doing mime work and improv work for a long time. That's like the ragged edge of acting.
It's a place of convenience for those that aren't very good at remembering lines. I found it actually influenced my life very early on. I gave a TED Talk on this last year.
You gave a TED Talk?
I did, TEDx.
But still, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And
so we can look it up. We just Google your name, TED Talk, and
you go to YouTube.
I'm going to watch that
Justin
tonight.
Thomson,
I will
TED,
call you after it's over. We'll talk about it.
Please do.
Right.
Or you can just hit me up on Tinder. That's fine. That works too.
When you guys are done, let's just go on with the show here.
Have you done a TED Talk? I mean, he's done a TED Talk. That's pretty cool. You should do a TED Talk.
I should.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Me? No.
You could talk about coiling cables and codecs.
I could.
But we would probably not listen to it. What?
It's an inside joke.
Take charge of this, would you? Because this is just
right.
going off the rails already.
So you asked why improvisation has become a big part of my life. And it actually was, one, I loved it in acting because it forced rapid thinking. Sure. And there's one rule in improvisation, and that's never to deny. Always say yes and. So contribute to whatever the situation is. And that, I realized, applies totally in life. If in your, something comes across your path in life, somebody gives you an opportunity, like when, John Brister said, hey, I would like you to work with Jeff Gerard, instead of me going, no, I don't really want to do that. I just really want to be auditioning and doing other things. I said yes to it, and it totally expanded my horizon. Because when you say yes to things, there are all these opportunities that exist. The second you say no, they disappear. So improv actually influenced my life in a massive way.
Well, an interesting thing, as I was reflecting on this, one of the things that I've learned in my own directing is that many times drama is not in the person speaking, but in the person reacting to the person speaking. And improv is all about reacting to external forces.
Yes.
Is that a true statement?
It's absolutely a true statement. The most important bit of advice that I give to any actor, not just in improvisation, but in theater and stage and in film, television, it's listening. If you're too much in your head, you miss every little grain or gift that's given that might be even a mistake, but could be turned into something really amazing. So if you're too focused on yourself, then you're going to lose the real essence of it. Because that's what life is. It's listening and communicating.
Meaning that rather than trying to think about what your next line is, think about what's happening around you.
Exactly. And the line will naturally occur because it's a response. The dialogue has been written as a response. And so it's intuitively inside of you. Yeah.
Well, who should the actor listen to? Is it other actors or the director or the audience, or what are you picking up on?
The studio executive. Always listen to the studio executive. Whatever he says, they're great. It's a collaboration. Obviously, actors and directors, it's a dance because you don't want to just do, I think a bad director is somebody who's trying to control every moment, say, okay, do this and then do this and do that. And that's not how it should be. A good director, I've found, gives waypoints where you should ultimately achieve. And how the actor gets there is his choice. But get to that emotion, get to that spot, whatever it is.
A good director casts well and then pretty much leaves you alone and trusts you.
The best director that I ever worked with was Michael Winterbottom. And he's done some amazing films. And his process was basically he'd say, okay, this is our ultimate destination where we want to go in the scene. There's a lot of improvisation in all of his films. But he always stood on the side and he just gave gentle guidance, kind of like being a lighthouse off in the distance. So you never lost your way as an actor in the scene. Yeah.
Well, that speaks to something else. How does an actor learn to trust a director? Because you're the one that's exposed. It's your face that's on the screen, and yet it's the director's vision. There's got to be, that's a really fine line to walk.
I think it happens, obviously, before the production occurs. Depending on the style or what the production is. If you're doing a student film, obviously, you don't have the luxury of, 3 weeks of prep and rehearsal and reading at the table.
Rehearsal?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Rehearsal? Say that word again.
Rehearsal, exactly. But it's just a dance. I mean, I don't know. It's like a first time you go on a date, you can never dictate exactly how it's going to go. But you have to trust in each other that you each have a strong enough vision and points that you can give and take.
I was reflecting, this is the third time you've been on the show.
Yes.
You were on in 2010 when we were talking about the fact you had just moved to London.
Yes.
Then in 2013, we were doing the Bestival.
Yes.
In 2014, you've abandoned London, come back to L.A. What brings you back to L.A.?
It's March and it's 80
Pilot
degrees
season.
outside. It's a few different factors. I love London. London, there's that saying, he who is tired of London is tired of life. But as far as working in front of the camera or just working in film in general, the absolute epicenter is Los Angeles, is California, for creativity and for everything. There's a fantastic work ethic in London. It's not so unionized. It's a smaller industry. So once you make friends, you're in, and it's a great place to work. But if you want to really take it to the next level, and especially for actors, I think you need to be here. Unless you want to do.
Have you found your circle of friends here yet, or did you just move back and now I'm finding them?
You are my friend.
Okay, good.
Both of you, I will.
Well, your
very
circle
sorry.
is very tight right now, but hopefully it'll expand in the
Perfect.
next
That's
month.
all I need.
Yeah. You have to live at the right apartment complex too,
That's true. That's actually true. And drive the right car.
and drive the
Yeah,
right car.
exactly.
yeah.
Is there a difference in acting between London and L.A.?
Yes.
How so?
Really?
Yeah, big time, actually.
Okay. I'd love to hear this. All right.
So obviously theater, you need to be in London or New York. Those are the two places. Now, when it comes to auditioning, this is one of the things that I learned from casting. And a lot of my British friends who are actors who would come here for pilot season were always shocked because you're taught to be totally off book. In the UK, when you go into an audition, you need to know your lines dead. And here, even if you have it memorized, there's this whole technique where people say, actually bring the sides in and occasionally glance down and act like you're reading it, because then it allows the casting director or the director or the producer to believe that, oh, well, if he's this good, while he's just kind of cold reading, imagine how good he'll be off book. So it's just little things like that.
Huh. I was never off book in auditions. Ever.
Really?
No. Well, you would get like 4 or 5 auditions a day. There's no way in the world you could especially if it was a 12-page audition, there was no way that you can do it. So you'd have to bring the things in. And you were always reading really, really bad stuff where improvisation comes in big time, so you just change it.
Yes, that's very true. Well, but it's in the UK, it's such a craft. I mean, it's a 4-year degree. Most of you don't just like, oh, here everybody's like hop on the Greyhound, come out to LA, and you're suddenly an actor. There, you need to go to RADA. You need to go to all the right schools.
Did you go to the schools in London?
I never went to school.
Okay.
I was homeschooled my whole life.
All right.
So I can't read or write.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you do know math and science. And coding.
Yes.
And coding.
I want to shift
Good job,
gears.
Mom.
Yes.
I want to shift gears before Mike runs us completely out of time.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Larry.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the business of acting. I mean, you've been surviving as an actor for 20 years, and the stories of the starving actor and low pay of actors are legendary. What are some of the key business things that you've learned to keep your career moving forward, to keep yourself fed and keep growing in new parts and new tasks and challenges?
2 things. People need to realize that actors, you are a brand. You are your own company. You are your face, everything. And brand is everything. And even for Coca-Cola, whatever it is. But now is the best time ever to be an actor, I think, because the barriers to entry are 0.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I learned at a young age was, start creating your own content, because it's a lot easier. It was a lot easier for me to hire myself than try to get hired to do a job. So I'd find people that I like to work with that collaborated well together, and we'd create stuff.
But allow me to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
It is absolutely easy to get stuff on the web and get distribution, but that's not the same thing as earning a living at it. There's millions of people that post videos that get nothing from it. Your job as an actor is not just simply to act, but to earn a living. There's a big difference between access to content at low cost and earning a living.
Yeah, but that content that he's creating, rather than sitting around and having somebody else be part of that content that's being created, he's creating content. Those people can see it and see what he can do, and then he can get hired for that.
Well,
and that's what you mean about that entry level. Because he's doing it. Ashridge Films, he's already doing it, and good on you. Because a lot of people are still going through that process of auditioning and trying to get the roles. No, go out and create your own content while you're auditioning.
It's a matter of being proactive, and then also you still have to be talented.
Yes,
it comes down to that. You can't just fake it. No matter how much auto-tuning or iMovie pre-edit you have there, you still have to have talent. But you can learn faster, and you don't have that barrier to entry, so that if you are talented, you don't have to know the guy or be the son of the director who's the studio executive, whatever. You can actually get it out there and get a following and get your voice heard.
So how do you market yourself to get gigs that pay money as opposed to simply get your face on the web?
Well, no, that's a good balance. I mean, you have people creating Vines now who are getting millions of dollars because they have a ton of followers, and that some branding person that has value to them. So the most important thing is do it because you love it. Don't do it because you want to make money at it. Do it, do enough that you can survive. And I think I'm quite an optimistic person that you can ultimately achieve those things if you're passionate and love it. You'll always find a path.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing, Larry, because we're passionate about it. We love it.
Well, and you're an amazing example. I mean, look at what you've created. You've created something amazing.
Exactly.
Here from what, I mean, it's awesome.
You might have hired the wrong partner, but
that's all right. That can be CGI'd out. Don't worry.
Yeah, we can put in a different face if we need to. What do you find is the best way to promote your career? Is it the web? Is it demo reels? Is it face-to-face meetings with agents? What is it that generates business? I hate to say it because I used to hate it as a kid, but it's who you know. It's who your friends are. So because that's how I give jobs or how I get jobs. It's because people I've worked with that I like to work with. I mean, that is the ultimate way to do it. And then there's a tipping point. Once you have enough content that's good, then naturally things start, outside influence, or somebody says, hey, I worked with this guy. He did this really amazing film for Bestival. Why don't you work together? So.
Yeah, we need to actually bring him back and talk more about it. If you go to his website and click on FX3, we need to talk about that. It has nothing to do with his face. It has nothing to do with putting his face out there. It has everything to do with this new technology, this 360-degree, almost virtual reality sort of technology that he is doing right now, and hopefully making money at.
Well, one of the things I'm interested about is that your website doesn't have your face on it. Doesn't
No,
have
it has
your
nothing
email
about
address
him.
on it. Doesn't even have a demo reel
Nope.
on it. It's understated to the point of invisibility. How come?
So Ashridge Films primarily came out of I was developing a program for BBC, in which I did put my face in it.
Oh.
But it was primarily focused for just content creation. So I think you can there's a balance between either saying, okay, I am Justin Thomson Productions and everything about that, or this is my production company and this is my acting side of it. So, if you go onto IMDb, you see plenty of the films and projects that I've worked on. But when it comes to content creation, I don't want one thing to distract from the other.
By the way, are these your eyes?
Those are not my eyes. That was a photograph that I took in Bhutan.
Oh, you went to Bhutan?
I went to Bhutan
Oh, God,
many
I
years
always
ago,
wanted to do that.
and for a project, and yeah, so I love those eyes.
When should an actor who's been doing work on the web get an agent?
So it's interesting because nowadays you don't necessarily need to have an agent. Again, the barriers of entry are totally gone. I know this sounds weird, but so many casting directors, like when we were just at the edge of it when I was working with Jeff Gerard, Actors Access, Showfax, the actors have access to those, and more. I mean, we did a campaign for a very large franchise. I don't know if I can say the name, in which we were looking for somebody, and we scoured the nation to find it, and we ultimately found it because I posted something on Craigslist, and then somebody came in. So agents are good because they have some relationships with casting directors, so you have a little bit better chance to get in. But the fact is, if you don't let it be a barrier to pursuing your passion.
Where can people go to learn more about the acting and work that you're doing? We're on the web.
Well, Google knows everything about me, so you can go onto Google, put in Justin Thomson, or you go to IMDb for acting, and then ashridgefilms.com for content.
That's Ashridge.
Ashridge Films, all one word. Justin Thomson is the face you've been looking to. Justin, thanks for joining us.
Love being
Thanks,
here.
Justin. That was great.
When you're working with media, one thing is essential. Your computer needs peak performance. However, when it comes to upgrading your Mac, there are so many different options to choose from that the process can be confusing. That's why Otherworld Computing carries the best upgrades that lets your computer performance and storage grow as your needs grow. Since 1988, OWC has become one of the most trusted names in quality hardware and comprehensive support to the worldwide computer industry. With an extensive online catalog of Mac, iPhone, and iPad enhancement products, as well as a dedicated team of knowledgeable experts providing first-rate tech support, OWC has everything you need to take your current system to the next level. Whether you need to maximize your system's memory, add blazing speed, or enhance reliability, look no further than the friendly experts at OWC. Learn more by visiting macsales.com today. That's macsales.com.
Ned Soltz is an author, an editor, educator, and consultant on all things related to digital video. He's also a contributing editor for Digital Video Magazine, a moderator on Two-Pop and Creative Cow forums, and a regular correspondent here on the BuZZ. Hello, Ned. Welcome back.
Hello, Larry. It's good to be back, and somehow I am getting feedback here. This is the first time we've attempted this. I think I'm okay right now. Good. I'm muted. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear
you really well.
Clear.
Can you get feedback? Because I'm talking over Larry, and we're actually talking at the same time.
Oh, that's what's plausible then. Hello, Michael. Very disappointed that I'm not able to see you, but we'll rectify that in a few weeks at NAP.
I hope so.
I've seen him, Ned. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a really good idea. I really look awful, Ned. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this new Skype video format. As I tell everybody, I have a radio voice and a radio face to go along with that radio voice.
And by the way, yeah,
my rare live appearances.
This is your home in New Jersey, right? Is that where you're coming?
Yes, it is. This is my home studio we're coming
from.
from.
My gosh.
A lovely ceiling, by the way. It looks great behind you.
It is.
Yeah, with a little ersatz lighting in the last 5 minutes. Anything I could pull out of the bag.
You look good, Ned.
Ned, let's get right into it. Tell us about the new Sony FS7 camera.
Well, I love the new Sony FS7. I not only reviewed it, I actually bought it.
Wow!
And that to me really says something. That when I see a product that I really think is going to do the job for me, and then just coincidentally, I had the opportunity to write about it. Basically, I think it combines so many different aspects. What we have is a large sensor camera, which has such a wonderful form factor that it's really usable. And what I'm beginning to see right now is sort of large sensor quasi-ENG type of acquisition. where you can work this camera very, very carefully. And despite the shallow depth of field from a large sensor camera, it's very plausible to use it in that manner. And it's also plausible to use it in a very cinematic sense. Sony marketed it originally as a cinema verite camera, and indeed that's what it is. So it's a baby F5 in many regards, with its 4K UHD internal right now, but by the end of the month, the new firmware 2.0 will be out, which will then allow actual 4K DCI in camera, which is a pretty amazing feat.
So you say it's a baby F5. Where does it fit in terms of price?
Well, it's about half the price of an F5.
Wow.
An
Yeah,
F5
that's amazing. I mean, it's just incredible.
It is. I mean, it is. It's $16,000 for the F5, and I mean the F5 does have more than the FS7, but on the other hand, for $8,000, you're getting full 4K DCI right now within the camera. For another $2,000 for the back, that can enable ProRes, but it also enables the use of real batteries. It provides a counterweight for shoulder mounting, time code in, out, gen lock, but just even the base camera itself, recording to those XQD cards, where you have the choice of an AVC, XAVC intra, and XAVC long cop, and even for legacy reality TV type production, a 50 megabit 422 MPEG-2 codec, which is really the darling of reality TV.
Grant in our live chat is asking that the shallow depth of field on the camera seems to be too much of a problem. How do you overcome that? The reason that he asks is he's looking for a small light camera that has zoom but doesn't have a real shallow depth of field. Is the depth of field going to be a limitation for focusing for run and gun?
Let's put it this way. If you're working with a lot of light, and you're able then to stop that lens down, and if you can shoot that lens at about an f8, you're not going to have that much of an issue with shallow depth of field. I mean, any more than people right now who are shooting Canon C300s. It's really very much the same situation. So it is plausible. You just have to watch your focus, learn to focus in zones and the like relative to your aperture. So I don't think it's that much of an issue, but certainly it's very different than shooting with your traditional CMOS smaller chip 3-chip camera.
In terms of the camera, how good is the audio with it?
I find the audio phenomenal. It's and right now, in fact, with the 2.0 upgrade, you'll be able to record 4 channels of audio. It has that MI multi-interface shoe, which right now can take the Sony UWP wireless microphone, which I also bought to go along with the kit, as well as that Sony on-camera dual XLR module they were selling for the A7S. So with that module or with the wireless microphone, you can have 2 channels of audio there, and you've got 2 XLR inputs, so you can actually record 4 channels of audio. So I think in terms of comparing it, for example, to my EX1, EX3, the preamps are far cleaner. So I can trust that audio a lot more on the FS7.
All right, well, let's shift gears. We've got the Sony FS7, but the other new camera that you reviewed recently was the Scion from AJA. What's your take on that?
Pretty amazing. Really. I mean, I am just floored at what manufacturers are able to do today at any kind of price point, whether it's $9,000 for the Scion, or, to change the topic slightly, just the new Alexa Mini for $36,000, and bringing that feature set of the Alexa down to a price that is competitive in that level of the market. But what impressed me most about Scion was just the color science of the camera. That's what I wrote about. And then, actually, independent of that, there was an article that someone on Red Shark News had written about, very much the same thing, of really the ability with their color science to create wonderful looks within camera that might require far less grading than one recording just in a log or a raw format.
So what format does the Scion record in?
Scion records in all flavors of ProRes right now, but it's not a log. Essentially, they have a flat gamma. They have an expanded or an extended gamma for a couple of extra stops of dynamic range, and the ability to turn that gamma off completely, which gives you a dark image. It's not log, but it allows you to grade very much like that. And then there are varying look tonalities kind of to the camera. There's a neutral, there's a skin tone, and by experimenting with those various permutations and combinations within camera, it's plausible to create a very, very fine look. Again, within the limitations of the camera. Remember, this is an ISO 320 camera, so you've really got to light it indoors, not like the native ISO 2000 of an FS7 or something. It's back to the old days.
We only have a minute left or something like that, but are there any bad cameras out there? I know we have too many cameras. You keep saying that. We have too many cameras. But are there any bad cameras?
No.
I know that.
None of them are bad. It's the question of what works for you in terms of the ergonomics, the feature set, the price point, your intended use, and you've really got to try these things. Rent it, go to a VAR that carries all of these cameras, and really determine what's going to work for you in your given situation.
Ned, in the short period of time we've got left, the AJA camera is a brand new camera. Should we wait before buying to allow AJA to work the bugs out, or does it seem stable now?
Well, the 1.1 firmware did stabilize things quite a bit and took the EI up to 1,000 and the native ISO to 320. It's very hard to tell when do you jump into a camera. I'm an early adopter kind of person. I find, by the way, being an early adopter of the FS7, I've gotten business with it because fewer other people have them. So people are interested in renting it, or people are interested in having things shot with it. So I think in that regard, that was very a very good decision on my part.
And Ned, where can people go on the web to read your reviews?
Well, you can read that review on both of those reviews, www.creativeplanetnetwork.com, www.creativeplanetnetwork.com.
And you can meet Ned at the Super Meet at the desk taking tickets.
And that is Ned Soltz, contributing editor for Digital Video Magazine and reviewer par excellence of cameras. Ned, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ned.
Thank you so much, guys. See you at IB.
See you soon.
I guess we're back on again, Michael. It's our turn again. We are indeed.
Well, you're running the show, Larry. Go ahead.
Somebody's
go ahead,
do
your intro.
Certainly not me.
It's not me.
From Bud Light's I Love You Man campaign to Jarhead 2 and the latest Little Rascals, Jeff Gerard and his associates at Jeff Gerard Casting have found just the right actors for features and over 3,500 television commercials. And I'm curious to know how they did it. Hello, Jeff. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Jeff.
We are doing great. How would you describe the role of a casting director aside from exhausted, which is where you are right now?
Yes, you got that right. I would say we're gardeners. I like to say we're weeders. I think we get hired because of our vision and our eyes, how we see certain things through talent, life, etc. And we go in and we take a meeting with the director, producers, etc. And if we're on the same wavelength, we get the job.
Well, you're right now in the middle of casting a film, which is one of the reasons we scheduled you at this time in the show, so you'd have time to get to a telephone. What are you doing now? Not necessarily the name of the film, but what part of the process are you in?
We have just completed the casting on Friday, and this week was me making all the deals. So basically, we have our cast in place. We are completed. The producers have accepted everyone. The studio accepted everyone. And now we're into the contract and negotiation phase, which I'm happy to say is over as of today.
Well, tell me what that phase means, because that's a part of the business that I'm not familiar with.
Arguing with agents.
Yes, thank you. You got that. No, to be honest with you, I think on the film that I was doing, I was pretty upfront with everybody going in. We had a certain budget. We had to accomplish certain things. We obviously have to appease not only the director's vision of what he wants on the screen, but we also have to appease the studio to get a certain amount of cachet name in there to open the film. And if it doesn't get a theatrical release, if it's made for a direct-to-DVD type of a feature film, as more and more and more of the industry is going in that direction, we have to make sure that all parties are satisfied and happy.
But now in the negotiation part, you're not talking with the actors at all. You're talking with their agents.
No, it's strictly having a conversation with their agents, their managers, the combination of the two. Then the lawyer gets involved as well. So the actor has a number of people on their team that we deal with on a day-to-day. Well, I shouldn't say on a day-to-day basis, but more on like the end of the film, the process, the casting section is done, and now we're into the negotiation. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go back a week to when you were casting. How are you finding the talent you want for the film?
A number of ways. Agents, managers, watching television, going to movies, seeing theater, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just any way that I possibly have them on my, I want to use an old-fashioned word, Rolodex. I have their name in my computer bank of my brain up here, or I can't remember someone, and I turn to my trusty associates and assistants and say, hey, who was that guy that stars on this show that it was dropped after one season, but remember he played the gardener and he blah, blah, blah. And right away, then it becomes a bull session with all of us together, trying to come up with the name, the right person who we're thinking of. And it's an input. We work together. I'm just one little piece of the puzzle. And sometimes a director will call me and say, hey, did you think of it this way? I said, yeah, he's on the list, but I got to tell you, he's not available. He just booked a pilot. And that's the toughest part of casting a movie now during these months in California, in Hollywood. It's pilot season, and nobody wants to come out on your film because they want to get a pilot, and they want to go, have that pilot go to series.
Do pictures matter anymore, Jeff? I mean, do you still look at pictures?
We do, we look at them in a different way now. Everyone's on computer. So the picture you're looking at is about a thumbprint. If you can imagine what your driver's license photo looks like, that's basically what we're looking at, and we have to click on that, and then all of a sudden the resume will show up, and then we have to click on the next person or the next person, et cetera. But when we do have a session for producer, directors, et cetera, we do request that they still bring in a hard copy picture and a resume.
Jeff, is it important?
I got to tell you, there's nothing like the feel of a picture and a resume in your hand. Maybe I'm just the old fart in the neighborhood, but there's nothing like that, to flip that picture around and to see their training, to see where they did theater. It's really, it's just the way I was brought up in the business. So it's taken some time to get used to just click, 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 but it is a lot easier on the environment.
Yeah, Jeff, I think you are the old fart. I think that's good. And there are not too many people like you left, I think.
Well,
which is a shame.
Jeff, is it which is more important? Is it more important for an actor to look right for the part or to be right for the part?
Now, tell me what you mean by be right, because it's so funny that you should say that, because I did a movie a number of years ago, like 20-plus years ago, and I went to New York to scout some people, and I never liked that phrase, oh, he just walked in and he was the part. I just didn't understand that, until I was doing this movie. I flew to New York. I saw a number of people, and in walks this young man who's only done one other project in his life. His name was Dylan McDermott, and he walked in, and he was the role I was looking for. So that's when I learned that's what that phrase means. It's almost like a bell goes off in your head.
So it's more than just what they look like.
Oh, definitely. I think nowadays actors are blessed to be in the business now. Unlike 25, 30 years ago, when it was a certain type, you looked a certain way, were you this, were you that, especially in commercials. You were either blonde hair, blue eyes, or you were extreme character, so they had some place to put you. You were either P&G or you were a character person. Now it's Americana, and it's great. It's great to cast commercials nowadays, and it's in films as well, TV shows, everything. You see, it's just a piece of Americana. It's like walking to the corner store and running into all these wonderful faces And now we get to cast all that, and there's nobody holding us back saying, oh, it has to be Caucasian. Oh, it has to be Hispanic. Oh, it has to be African American. No. I mean, a lot of times they say, it's your canvas. Go with it. Show me the best people in town.
Yeah, Jeff, I got to say this because I've been holding out for a little while, but I don't know if you remember me, but I was an actor for a number of years, and you cast me in a number of commercials back in the 80s and the 90s. Michael Horton is my name, and of course my wife, Debbie Zip.
Michael!
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Debbie Zip?
Yeah, Debbie Zip was my wife, and
okay.
And Debbie and I, of course, did hundreds of commercials,
yes.
of which you were a big part of our career. And I quit acting in 2000 because I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't like it, and I never really liked doing commercials, even though I did hundreds of them.
And it was your bread and butter,
but it was my bread and butter.
Yes.
Not only was it my bread and butter, it was big time bread and butter, because you can do one day work and make $30,000 over an entire year of residuals. And of course, you were a big part of buying my house. So thank you, Jeff, and raising my children. I have 2 grown children, thanks to you
God
and
bless
other
you.
casting directors. So, but that was then. This is now, and one of the reasons I think I quit acting was, number one, I wanted to be a director, and I wanted to have more in charge of my life. But what was happening is that actors were becoming kind of numbers, not necessarily people anymore. And I wonder if that's the same. Is that kind of going on now? How different is it now than 15 years ago?
Well, it's a little crazy because, as I talked about, oh, Michael, it's so great to hear your voice. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was you on the other end.
Yes.
This is so cool. All right. I love this. Well, yeah, nowadays it's a lot of everything is coded. So you are a number. It's almost like you do have a barcode. You're in the system.
Wow.
So it's like going to the supermarket and getting a glass of milk or a container of milk, and all of a sudden you have to turn it over for the barcode. Well, all the actors bring little barcodes in their wallets as well, and it just barcodes them. They don't have to fill out anything. It comes up instantly. They want to change pictures. So for certain things, it's a benefit, but for other things, it's gotten worse. I mean, since you dropped out, I think the ratio of bringing people in has gone up probably double. You have to bring in at least 100 to 150 people a day.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's not like, I remember you and Sandy Simpson and Kevin Borland and all you guys and coming in and getting to know you a little. Getting to know about you, getting to know where your talent lies and how to finesse that a little bit, or, hey, that was really great. I love what you brought to it. Let's just try it this way, and still allowing you the freedom to bring your creativity to it, even if it was for that 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
But you can't do that with 150 people a day or 150
well,
people a spot.
Well, you know what? I try to do my best with it, but, it gets a little rough sometimes. So,
Jeff, what does an actor need to keep in mind when they're going into a casting session knowing that there's 150 other people they're looking at today?
Don't be anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
Go in there, do what you do best, celebrate what you do best, embrace what you do, put it out there on the line, go home and forget about it. You want to keep a journal, because it's always good to know, hey, I look back in my journal and guess what? I booked a lot of, MOS spots, or I booked some improv spots, but I haven't booked any dialogue-driven spots. So maybe it's time to reevaluate the instrument inside. Maybe the grooming outside is great. That's why you're booking those spots that don't require any dialogue. But maybe the instrument inside isn't as fine-tuned as you think it is.
I was booking all the spots that required dialogue because the outside wasn't that great.
You were great. You don't sell yourself short, guy. You were great, and you were the top. In fact, weren't you with TGI, BBR, whatever?
Oh, yeah, whatever
now?
Their name was. I can't remember. It was David Brady and a bunch of other people.
That's right, and Pat Brennan, and yes, I do, because I called for you a number of years ago, and they said, Jeff, he hasn't been in the business forever. And I said, but this is the type of guy I want.
No, I couldn't take it anymore. It was like, commercials are a director's medium. And I worked with all these wonderful directors throughout my career, like Tony Scott and Adrian Lyne and Antoine Fuqua, and all these and cinematographers like Caleb Deschanel, because they'd always do this stuff in between gigs. But as an actor, you don't do them for the artistic rewards, you do them for the money. And thank God for them, because they allowed you to pay the rent while you're pursuing your career.
And I have to tell you, commercials, it is a great stepping stone, because especially now during pilot season, we will get a lot of calls to our office, because I'm president of the Commercial Casting Directors Association, all right?
Oh, good for you.
So I get a lot of calls in my office saying, hey, Jeff, if you didn't cast this, do you happen to know who the person is in this spot, blah, blah, blah? We want to bring him in for a lead in a pilot.
Stephen Bochco brought me in for L.A. Law because of a commercial that he saw that I did for American Express. Exactly.
And who was the other? Sonny Honorati, Pete Honorati, was brought in, and he got a Bochco series, I think, Cop Rock, because of a commercial he did, standing against the wall for AT&T, talking straight to camera. So you just never know where your next meal's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. No, commercials were absolutely wonderful and a very necessary part of my life.
Right.
Jeff, I want to come back to a casting session. One of the questions that I have is, you've said for somebody to be themselves when they come to the casting session. How important is the first impression?
Oh, I think it's very important, because a lot of times, especially nowadays, when the economy hit bad for everyone, it just didn't hit. It hit every job, and it hit everything. So budgets were cut in half. Casting days were down from 3 days. You had to do it in a day and a half. You had one prep day to still do 12 characters. So it got hit a lot of times. So when you do walk in that room, that's what we're looking for. We do want to see that we're going to be able to pull your natural, honest personality through. And that's what I say all the time. I always look for honesty in a performance, whether it's just you kissing your dad goodnight and running upstairs to go to bed, or it's you doing wall-to-wall copy straight to the camera.
Well, if that's true, then what does an actor need to do to make a good first impression? What thought should they be doing? I mean, it's nice to say be yourself, but you've got to be more than yourself, it seems to me, in a casting session, don't you?
Well, it does. It just depends. If you're talking commercial, I still stick with that. I say you come in, the acting 101. Just because it's a commercial, you don't just say, oh, it's just one line. Well, if it's just one line, who am I? Where am I? Why am I there? It's those people that come in. I know it sounds silly, just about a one line in a commercial, but if you got a bunch of guys standing out there, and there's 20 guys out there, and the line is, thanks, Joe, come again. Well, who is he? Well, he's a gas station attendant. I just said the line. Well, no, don't just say the line. What was he doing just prior to Joe coming here and pumping the gas? And was it an old-fashioned kind of gas station where you pump the gas for Joe? Is Joe's kid in the back of the car? Does he always wave to you? Did Joe go off the curb again for the third time this month? I mean, so you add a lot of texture to that one line, so it always has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's the same way with theatrical jobs. You wouldn't want, as I always tell everyone, I'm throwing a party. You wouldn't come to my house empty-handed, right? So you'd want to bring something. I want to see what you have to bring to the mix.
When you're wearing your casting director hat, you've seen the 100 guys that came in that day. How do you make a decision? Is it just a gut feeling that this is the right guy, or are there other criteria?
Well, I wish Jeff made the decision, but
yeah, if it's commercials, it's definitely not me. The tape, I see, I'm aging. The tape goes off for the day, into cyberspace here, because we do everything online. So whatever we recorded for the day goes off. And the agency looks at it, the production company looks at it, the director looks at it. Sometimes, if budgets are tight, they send it directly to the client nowadays, and the client is picking certain people that they want to have back. We just finished a big campaign for Mercury Insurance, and it had over 25 characters in it. So it was a lot of, finding the best people in the prep so that when you got them in the room, they'd be able to deliver. You knew they'd be able to take direction. They understood, like I said, it might just be a commercial, but they understood acting 101. what a beginning is, what a middle is, what an intention is, what a conflict is. So sometimes when you throw stuff at them, you think, oh, well, they're grabbing it. Look how textured this performance is, and it's a 30-second performance.
Jeff, after all these years, you still having fun?
A ball.
Good.
I'm still having a ball.
Good.
I love it. I wake up every day, and guess what? I don't have to see the same faces every day. I don't have to be in at 8 o'clock in the morning and leave at 9, But sometimes I do have to show up at 9 in the morning and leave at 9 at night, as I was doing for the last month on a film. I said, but that's exciting. That's what's exciting about it, going in the trenches there, working with my staff, seeing who's new in town, seeing who came in from New York or Chicago or the Midwest.
Well, when I was
believing in the agents and the managers that are working with you, that they're going to have a heads up on you because they signed a certain person for a certain reason.
When I was doing this, Jeff was one of the good guys. Let me tell you.
Thank you.
He was
sir.
he was one of the good ones.
Jeff, how important is a demo reel to an actor?
I think it's really important, especially in your beginning stages. Now, there's twofold to that, in my opinion only. And once again, everything we're talking about is just what works for me and has worked for me for the past 30-plus years. My feeling is a demo reel is really important, but you want to make sure the best of your work is on it. And I don't care if you're just starting out and you only have a one-liner here and you got 3 lines here and you got another one-liner there. Show me the difference in that reel. Show me the different characters you brought to life. Show me that someone who has a show that's costing them over $1 million a week to produce said, guess what? Let's take a shot on this kid who has nothing on his resume, and let's see what he brings to that one-liner.
Have you ever discovered somebody who was a beginner and then suddenly made it big? Aside from Michael?
I don't know if you would say that we actually discover them because, look, I mean, everybody had an agent or a manager, so someone's discovering them. I've been lucky enough in my career that I've worked with Patrick Swayze, God rest his soul, before he hit it big. I was able to the last one I think I did of real name value was Andy Samberg, just before he got Saturday Night Live.
Oh, good.
He came in on a commercial for me for a Japanese company. They had a bop in the car. You would have loved this one, Michael. They had a bop in the car to Earth, Wind, and Fire and just have a really good time as they were driving their Volkswagen down the highway, right? He books it. They send him to Japan with 5 other people. And 3 weeks later to the day, I see Saturday Night Live signs a new young guy, bump, bump, bump. The rest is,
that's great.
And, Jeff, where can people go on the web to learn more about you and your company?
You can always punch in jeffgerard.com. That's a website. You could go to IMDb, and you can check out my resume there as well.
That's Jeff Gerard, JEFFGERRARD. Jeff Gerard, all one word.com. And Jeff is the owner of Jeff Gerard Casting. Jeff, thanks for joining us
Jeff,
today.
it's great talking to you. You meant a lot to me and of course, my wife, Debbie Zipp, to our career. And I hope we should do lunch.
Hey, I'm around. I'm in Sherman Oaks.
All right, I'm in Chatsworth.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'll drive.
Okay.
All right, Michael. Thank you both very much. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you for joining us. You know,
Okay.
Michael, it's nice to hear that you had a career in acting. That was very cool.
Well, I think I told you that 15 years ago, but you forgot.
Yeah, well, the 750...
I never talk about it. I really don't. I don't. It's kind of fun to talk about, but it's such a past life.
Mm-hmm.
It really is such a past life. I enjoy my new life as co-host of the Digital Production Buzz.
Well, the thing I like is it's nice that you have a past life and some wonderful stories to tell from it, that's for sure.
Okay.
I want to thank our guests for tonight, starting with Justin Thomson, the actor and filmmaker, Ned Soltz, contributing editor for Digital Video Magazine.
See you at the Super Meet, Ned. Okay,
Jeff,
go ahead.
And Jeff Gerard, the owner of Jeff Gerard
See
Casting.
you at lunch, Jeff? Okay.
There's a lot of history in our industry and a lot of noise around this table that's
There
all
is.
posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find hundreds of past shows and thousands of interviews, all searchable, all online, and all available. You can talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. And Mike himself will sign autographs for people that need to have...
And you're booking me Monday morning at on the NAB show floor, right?
We are going to have you on the show somehow.
I'm the funniest guy you'll ever interview.
You just have to show up.
It'll be worth it. Just do it. Just book me. It'll be worth it.
My mind reels. Our theme music is composed by Nathan
Ask the
Doogie
right
Turner.
questions.
Hush.
And do
Additional
improv.
music on the Buzz is provided by Smart Sound. Transcripts provided
Remember to
by
go
Take
with
One
it.
Transcription. Our producer, Serena Catania. Our engineering team is led by Megan Paulos, includes Alexia Chalita, Ed Golia, Keegan Guy, Lindsay Lubert, and Brianna Murphy. For Mike and me, thanks for listening to The Buzz.
Goodbye, everybody.
The Digital Production Buzz was brought to you by Shutterstock.com, a global marketplace for royalty-free images and videos. With over 2 million royalty-free HD and 4K video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. And by Otherworld Computing, providing quality hardware solutions and extensive technical support to the worldwide computer industry since 1988.